Hello, children. Chapter number 4, Heat. In this chapter, we will learn about hot and cold, measuring temperature, and transfer of heat. We feel hot in summers and cold in winters in the northern parts of the country. In the hilly areas, it is cold throughout the year. In winters, we wear woolen clothes. They keep us warm. We love, we love to sit in the sun in the afternoon. Similarly, in summers, we wear light colored, loose fitting cotton clothes. We do not feel like going outside because it is hot. Even inside the house, we feel hot. How do we know whether it is hot or cold, or that an object is warm or cold? Okay, let us try to find out the answer to this and many more questions. In all these cases, you have had an experience with heat. When we rub our palms against each other, they become warm. One of the methods to determine whether an object is hot or cold is by the sense of touch. But this is not a very reliable method. In our day-to-day life, we come across some things that are hot and some that are cold. Ice is cold, whereas tea is hot. Heat and light from the sun support life on the earth. But what is heat? To understand what is heat, we must learn about thermal energy first. Okay? Everything is made up of extremely small particles called molecules. You can see the picture here. Picture of molecules, arrangement of molecules are given here. So everything is made up of extremely small particles called molecules. For example, oxygen, water and iron are all made up of certain types of molecules. The molecules that form water, air and sand are different from each other. But they have one common feature. They all show movement. All the molecules show movement. The molecules of a substance move because they possess energy. So, what is thermal energy? The sum of the energy possessed by all the moving molecules of the substance is called thermal energy. Understood? Let me say once more. We know that everything is made up of molecules. Okay? These molecules show movement. All the molecules show movement. The molecules of a substance move because they possess some energy. The sum of this energy possessed by all the moving molecules of the substance is called thermal energy. Look at the picture here. Molecules hot with cold. Okay, molecules move very little and slowly here in the cold object, and molecules move more and faster in hot objects. So, the definition of thermal energy is the sum of the energy possessed by all the moving molecules of the substance is called thermal energy. For example, the thermal energy of water in the tumbler is the sum of the energy possessed by all the molecules of the water in the tumbler. Everything around us has some thermal energy. Even the molecules of ice have some movement, which is why even a cold object has some thermal energy. Now, what is temperature? While thermal energy is the total energy possessed by a substance, temperature tells how hot or cold a substance is. It is the measure of how fast or slow the molecules are moving. Let us take a bucket and fill it with tap water. The molecules will have some movement and therefore the water will possess some thermal energy and have a certain temperature. Now let us fill a cup with the water from the same bucket. The temperature of the water in the cup and in the bucket will be the same, but the amount of thermal energy contained in the bucket will be more because the bucket has more water. Okay. Thus, the temperature indicates the level of thermal energy, but it does not tell how much energy is present in the substance. Okay. Now, the temperature of a substance can be measured using a device called thermometer. What is the temperature? Temperature indicates the level of thermal energy, but it does not tell how much energy is present in the substance. Or temperature is the measure of how fast or slow the molecules are moving. And temperature of a substance can be measured using a device called thermometer. So now, measuring body temperature, we use clinical thermometer. For measuring body temperature, we use clinical thermometer. Here there is two types of thermometer. Digital thermometer also is there. Clinical thermometer also is there. When you have fever, you may have used a clinical thermometer to measure your body temperature. The commonly used clinical thermometer is made up of a narrow tube, that is capillary tube of thick glass. Narrow tube, capillary tube of thick glass. At the end of the capillary tube is a thin glass bulb filled with mercury. Here, the end of the capillary tube is a thin glass bulb filled with mercury. Mercury is a metal in liquid form at room temperature. Mercury What is mercury? Mercury is a metal in liquid form at room temperature. As glass is a poor conductor of heat, the wall of the bulb is kept thin so that transfer of heat between the mercury and its surroundings can take place easily. The scale in a clinical thermometer extends over a few degrees on either side of the normal body temperature of 37 degrees Celsius. The clinical thermometer, it can measure temperature from 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. A clinical thermometer reads temperature from 35 degrees Celsius to 42 degrees Celsius. Being a metal, mercury is a good conductor of heat. When it is in contact with the body, it quickly gains heat and expands. As a result, the mercury moves upward in the capillary tube. How it works? Being a metal, mercury is a good conductor of heat. When it is in contact with the body, it quickly gains heat and expands. As a result, the mercury moves upward in the capillary tube. If you observe a clinical thermometer, you will find a constriction or kink of clinical thermometer. See the picture given here, kink, or otherwise called constriction. This is the constriction or kink. Kink means bend portion. Okay. Constriction or kink in the capillary tube just above the bulb here. This is the bulb, mercury bulb, and just above the mercury bulb you can find kink or constriction. What is the role of kink here? This prevents the mercury from moving down once it has risen due to increasing temperature. This kink or constriction prevents the mercury from moving down once it has risen due to increase in temperature. To lower the level of mercury, the thermometer has to be given a firm jerk. Okay, now understood the structure or the parts of the clinical thermometer. It is made of a narrow or capillary thick glass tube. At the end of the capillary tube is a thin glass bulb filled with mercury. What is mercury? Mercury is a metal in liquid form at room temperature. As glass is a poor conductor of heat, the wall of the bulb is kept thin so that transfer of heat between the mercury and its surroundings can take place easily. And being a metal, mercury is a good conductor of heat. When it is in contact with the body, it quickly gains heat and expands. As a result, the mercury moves upward in the capillary tube. And you can notice a kink or a constriction just above the mercury bulb. The role of this kink is to prevent the mercury from moving down once it has risen due to increase in temperature. To lower the level of mercury, the thermometer has to be given a firm jerk. So, the normal body temperature is marked as 37 degrees Celsius on the clinical thermometer. Now, what are the things that we should take care while using a clinical thermometer? Precautions to be observed while using a clinical thermometer. What are they? Thermometer should be washed before and after use, preferably with an antiseptic solution. Next one, ensure that before use the mercury level is below 35 degrees Celsius. Read the thermometer keeping the level of mercury along the line of sight. Handle the thermometer with care. If it hits against some hard object, it can break. Don't hold the thermometer by the bulb while reading it. These are the precautions that we have to maintain while using a clinical thermometer. You can see the picture of digital thermometer here. Nowadays, digital thermometers are used to measure body temperature. They work on tiny dry cells. A good quality digital thermometer records body temperature more accurately than the ordinary mercury in glass type thermometer. Moreover, it is a safer device because it does not contain mercury, which is a toxic substance. Mercury is a toxic substance. So, this nowadays digital thermometer is used. Next is laboratory thermometer. Different types of thermometers are used to measure the temperature of different objects. Laboratory thermometers is one such thermometer. It measures the temperature in the range of negative 10 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. A laboratory thermometer is made up of a glass tube. It has a glass bulb with mercury which on gaining heat rises in the glass capillary of the tube. There are two fixed points that show the lowest and the highest temperature that can be measured on the thermometer. Now, how to read a laboratory thermometer? A laboratory thermometer does not have a constriction or kink. It has to be read while it is in contact with the materials whose temperature is being measured. For example, to record the temperature of warm water, the temperature has to be read while the thermometer is immersed in warm water. Let me say once again how the laboratory thermometer reading of laboratory thermometer is done. A laboratory thermometer does not have a constriction. Constriction, you know, that is a constriction or kink. In clinical thermometer, constriction is there, constriction or kink. But in laboratory thermometer, it does not have a king. Okay. It has to be read while it is in contact with the material whose temperature is being measured. We are not taking laboratory thermometer from that object. We are just keeping in the water or something like what we had to be read. In that we are keeping only that time only we are reading the temperature of that object. That means, for example, to record the temperature of warm water, the temperature has to be read while the thermometer is immersed in warm water. Next is transfer of heat. Before that, we must know what is heat. Heat is a thermal energy that flows. Okay. What is heat? Heat is a thermal energy that flows. Thermal energy flows between objects due to a difference in temperature. Heat transfer occurs from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. Heat transfer occurs from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. That is why heat flows from one object or a medium to another only when one is warmer than the other. The flow of thermal energy can be compared with the flow of water. Water always flows from a higher level to a lower level. Similarly, thermal energy always flows from a region of higher temperature to a region of lower temperature. The flow of thermal energy will continue until the temperatures of the two objects becomes equal. See the picture. Heat flows from the higher temperature to the lower temperature. So, heat is transferred from hotter object to colder objects. This heat transfer continues till both the bodies attain the same temperature. When a hot body and a cold body are in contact, the hot body loses heat while the cold body gains heat. So the main ways by which transfer of heat occurs are conduction, convection and radiation. Conduction, convection and radiation. First is about conduction. When you keep a cooker on the gas, it becomes hot. In fact, the handles of the spoon with which you stir vegetables in a pan when kept on a flame also become hot. Why did the handle of the spoon become hot? When you remove the spoon from the pan and kept it outside, it cools down. Why does it cool? This is because heat is transferred from hotter objects to colder objects. This heat transfer continues till both the bodies attain the same temperature. When a hot body and a cold body are in contact, the hot body loses heat while the cold body gains heat. In solids, generally the heat is transferred by the process of conduction. So, conduction occurs when two objects at different temperatures are in contact with each other. Conduction is the mode of heat transfer in solid substances. So, what is the definition of conduction? Conduction occurs when two objects, that is here, pan and handle. This is this two objects here. Two objects at different temperatures are in contact with each other. It is in direct contact with each other. Conduction is the mode of heat transfer in solid substances. Now, some substances which allow heat to flow through them are called good conductors. Okay, some of the examples are iron, copper, aluminium, etc. And the materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are poor conductors of heat or insulators. Example, wood, plastic. Next is convection. When a liquid or a gas is heated, it expands. As a result, it becomes lighter and moves upwards. The cooler, heavier fluid from the surroundings rushes to take its place and heated in return. This process continues and gives rise to a convection current through which heat energy flows and the entire liquid or gas gets heated. Convection currents give rise to breeze in coastal regions. Convection is the mode of heat transfer through fluids. Fluids means liquids or gases. The heat transfer occurs by the movement of the fluid itself. So, convection currents give rise to breeze in coastal regions. You have already learned this sea breeze and land breeze in the lower classes, right? How does sea breeze occur? During the daytime, what will happen? The land heats up faster than the sea. Land heats up faster than the sea. So, the air above the land becomes warmer and rises up. Air above the land becomes warmer and rises up. The cooler air from the above the sea rushes, the cooler air above the sea rushes towards the land and takes its place. Resulting in a sea breeze during the day. Okay, during daytime, air above the land becomes warm and rises upwards. That time what will happen? The air above the sea rushes to take place the place of empty space here. Okay, resulting in a sea breeze during the day. Now, similarly, at night, the opposite happens. The land cools faster. Therefore, the air above the sea is warmer than the air over the land. At night, cooler air from the land replaces the warmer air above the sea, resulting in a land breeze. This is because of convection currents. Actually, warmer air is moving towards the cooler side. Natural convection currents keep the earth warm. Air from the warmer parts transfer some of the heat to the cold polar regions. Next is radiation. You must have noticed that we feel warm when we move out in the sun or stand in front of a flame. How does the heat of the sun reach us? This heat cannot reach us by conduction or convection. There is no direct contact between us and the sun. There is no medium such as air in most part of the space between the sun and the earth. Moreover, hot air rises up. This shows that there is another method of transferring heat. This is called radiation. Radiation needs no medium. It can take place even in vacuum. It is because of radiation we get heat when we sit in front of a heater in a room. All hot objects or substances, that is solids, liquid and gases, transfer heat by radiation. Our body also gives heat to the surroundings and receives heat from it by radiation. The higher the temperature of a body, more heat it radiates. All objects radiate heat. When this heat falls on objects like trees, soil, water, human beings, etc., some of it is absorbed, some is reflected and a part of it is transmitted. So, radiation is a method of heat transfer that does not need contact between a hotter object and a cooler object. Heat can flow in the form of waves. Heat can be transferred through an empty space by radiation. Now let us see what is the difference between these three: convection, conduction and radiation. First, about conduction, you can see the two objects are in contact with each other. Conduction occurs when two objects are in contact with each other, and it usually occurs in solid particles. Next is convection. Convection is a method by which heat is transferred from the hotter part to the colder part by actual movement of hot particles in it is called convection. Convection occurs in fluids. Fluid means liquid or gases. And about radiation. Radiation needs no medium. It can take place even in vacuum. This is the main difference between convection, conduction and radiation. Now, kinds of clothes we wear in summer and winter. Black or dark colored surfaces absorb heat and warm up quickly whereas white or light colored surfaces reflect heat and remain cool. That is why we must wear dark colored clothes in winter and light colored clothes in summer. And about woolen clothes, how does a woolen garment keeps the body warm in winter? What is the reason behind it? Woolen fibers curls and forms air pockets. The air trapped by the woolen garment is made warm by the heat from the body. This keeps the body warm. Moreover, wool is a poor conductor of heat. It does not let the warmth of the body to escape and also prevents cold air from reaching the body. This is how woolen garments keep the body warm in winter. So we have completed this chapter. Thank you.